By the time you hear this, I might be long gone, dead and buried, relieved from the reprieve of being free from any more worry. Or maybe, by the time you hear this, I might be well alive, enjoying life's wonders, hunting for that one something that's nothing new. Locked away somewhere inside of you is a lost child seeking to use his only ticket for an old ship sailing to the horizon of dreams fused with sirens singing. By the time you hear this, your dreams will come true. And while he's roaming the dockside, he's unable to turn a blind eye to the other number of kids down on luck because there's not enough tickets to go around. And by the time you hear this, there are less kids left alive than the ones who've already drowned. Lost in a faraway town is a dog trying to figure out how he woke up around strangers chasing him off, when just last night he was sleeping like a log while not realizing his owner was planning on dropping him off before heading back home 2 towns up. And by the time you hear this, he's been roaming just enough to beat rescue for getting run over. And right across the street lives a cat so fat from love handed down as kitty cat kibbles, he doesn't hardly ever get up from where he's at, so he mostly just chills. And by the time you hear this, that poor kid has feline diabetes that's fatally prone. Not far from your home lived a child that hoped one day he'd be able to best his dad at a game of chess. And by the time you hear this, he's beat his dad only once, even though he's secretly the state's second best to none. Somewhere in the distant slums are sirens screaming their way across town. And by the time you hear this, someone's life has come crashing down around them because in 10 more seconds, they've discovered a loved one didn't survive. Why is a reason too often arbitrarily used to define the events we can't control, as if trying to contextualize the problems in life we can't solve will somehow make us smarter people. And by the time you hear this, you're likely thinking you aren't really that smart after all. And by the time you hear this, the writing has been up on the wall. And it's been there this whole time. You should have figured out that this particular peace of mind is really just about how sometimes in life you get hit with shit you can't do anything about. We can't control everything, and we can barely control ourselves, but that doesn't mean we're always powerless to try and reach out to strangers that might need our help. So by the time you hear this, I want to tell you that at this very moment, billions of tragedies are going on right now. And even if you shouted out all your force for change, all of the end results would still be the same. But while this is going on, there's a coming along in waves of relief that will build a reef of growth. Because sometimes in life, the steepest price of pain is for the exchange of what's needed most. So by the time you hear this, I want you to know that while there's so much you can't control, a silent part of you knows that there are millions of events you had a premise for changing, but instead chose not to, and I don't care for the reasons. If you have free will, then your will doesn't cost you. So don't let it stop you from empowering the chances for change to make something great of an otherwise shitty day in the book of calendars wasted. So now, by the time you hear this, I hope you've tasted a bittersweet wisdom enough that you took change in hand and walked through the continent we call getting shit done.